folks, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's time for a 5x5. Now, this is where I take 5 subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes talking about each subject. It's quick, it's snappy, you never know what you're going to get. So, this week, we're going to get back to our regularly scheduling programming, so to speak. I'm going to start off with a live performance. And as Keymaster has been launched now, I'm going to do you're going to see a live performance of me performing Keymaster at a bar in America. And then in the second segment, I'm going to break that performance down, talk about what I did, why I did it, and go through my reasonings behind everything during the course of the routine. There's a lot of other stuff coming up as well on this episode, though, including looking at a brand new deck of cards by Penguin Magic. So without further ado, let's get straight into this week's 5.
I'm going to show you a couple of things to you. And it starts off with this. It starts off with 2 keys. It's called the 2-key trick. Do you know why it's called the 2-key trick? 2 keys. Have you seen it before? That's very impressive. Good job. It does indeed use 2 keys. Now, here's what I need you to do. You're going to help me with it. You're both going to help me. But hold your hand out for me. I'm going to give you one of these keys. Your job is to squeeze it until later on, okay? So squeeze it tightly, turn your hand over, and keep your hand up here. I love how your knuckles are turning white, like you don't trust me at all. That's good. That's fine. That's fine. And I'm going to give you this key. Your job is to check that key out and make sure it's okay. Make sure there's no wires, no magnets, no trapdoors. Take your time. I get paid by the hour. Is that okay?
That's good to me.
Good stuff. So would you like to see a good trick or a miracle?
I'll go miracle. Why not?
Okay, miracle. Why not? Watch the key. Watch the hole in the key. See, if I do this, I can take that hole and pull it right off the key. I love the look on your face. You look like a rabbit caught in headlights. Now, here's the weird thing. I'm going to put the hole right there. And this is weird. If I just tap, that hole has to go somewhere. And this is the weirdest thing you've ever seen. Turn your hand over, open it up. You ever seen 2 holes on a key before? So weird, right? So weird. So weird. But I'm going to try and get the hole back on this key.
All right.
That's what I'm going to do. Hold your hand out for me. Now, there's no hole there. It's not an optical illusion, right? No. Squeeze it tightly. Turn your hand over. Now, you can see there's 2 holes there. Is that right? Can you do me a favor? Can you hold on to the shaft? That sounds terrible. Can you hold on to that bit? That's much better. That's much better. Well, if I do this, I can take the hole back off the key. Now, if I told you I could put the hole back on the key in your hand, would that be good?
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be amazing, right? But I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to put the hole back on the key in your hand. I'm going to put it in a position that no hole has ever been before. Watch. Have you ever seen a hole in the stem of a key?
That's fantastic.
I always think I'm gonna see something. I'm gonna catch something. No.
I don't know you very well, but I'm guessing that's your pissed off face. I mean, I'm just
More or less just intrigued and infuriated all at the same time.
let's go with that, shall we? Let's go with that. Right, so this is the original Keymaster routine, and on future 5x5s, I'm going to be performing other routines and breaking down other routines of the Keymaster project, but this is the original Keymaster routine. Now, I've done videos on hack lines and, lines that you use to bring people on side. I love saying, hey, this is the 2-key trick. Do you know what's called a 2-key trick? Because it uses 2 keys. It just kind of relaxes the audience. Now, the important thing is, this key is obviously going into her hand and she can't examine it. So I don't make a big deal of it. And that's really important. If you're putting something into somebody's hand and they can't examine it, you don't make a big deal of it. I make a big deal of the thing that can be examined, which is this key right here. Now, and notice when I did put the key in her hand, I kind of told a joke, I relaxed her, and the point of that was to have her really just forget about her hand. I want to put all focus up here. That's really important. Now, obviously, I just did a switch there. The important thing, and this is the basics of sleight of hand, holding the key with the dirty hand, right? So I'm holding the key with the dirty hand, which makes that hand look more natural, which is basic sleight of hand 101. But then notice I transfer the key into the other hand, and the dirty hand drops down to the side. It comes out of the frame of action. And notice it doesn't drop down really fast, but it's kind of almost like a pendulum. Now, you've done phase 1, now into phase 2. And the beautiful thing about Keymaster is obviously you're putting attention on where they think the hole's going to be, And so they completely miss the holes on the stem. Now notice there, and you can rewind it if you want to, I ditched the key into my back pocket. I did a switch, and I switched the key, and I ditched the key into my back pocket. Now the thing you need to understand about this is when you're performing in a real world environment like this, you can literally get away with everything and anything, as long as you know where to focus the audience's attention. In the case of that, I've done the switch, I have her hold onto the shaft of the key, you know, I told a little gag or something, everyone's attention's there, nobody's looking at the other hand, it just drops the key in the back pocket. Now, for years when I was doing Keymaster, I was trying to come up with clever reasons to go into my pocket to take something out, or, you know, have a reason to ditch that. And then I realised that the best way to do it is just put it in your back pocket, because nobody is paying attention at that point. And I think that's the most important thing that you can kind of learn from this performance. And especially if you've got Keymaster and you've bought it and you're working through the routines, understand that you can get away with more in the real world than you actually think that you can get away with. You know, it's why I don't like to script everything to the nth degree, because by scripting everything to the nth degree, it allows me less flexibility to go in different directions. If I know that there's an exact moment in the routine where I need to do a ditch, for example, it's less flexibility. And as a performer, I like to ad-lib, and I like more flexibility. But understand, you can get away with a heck of a lot when you're performing in the real world. And that's the perfect example. You just put it in your back pocket. Nobody's looking, because at that point, everybody's looking at that lady holding onto the key. Holding onto the key. They know that that's where the magic's going to happen. They kind of anticipate that the hole's going to disappear, but they just don't see it happen. And by the time that it's come off, your hands are empty. The other hands come back up, and nobody is none the wiser. The final thing that I'll point out is when the guy opens up his hand and I say, hey, would it be good for if the hole went onto the key? Now, a lot of the time, you don't want to let people in on what's going to happen. But in the structure of this routine, they know that the hole's going to go back on the key. You've told them the hole's going to go back on the key. They're expecting it to go back on the key. And they go, yeah. And you go, well, I've put the hole in a place where no hole has ever been before. And you'll see every single time I say that line, it gets a chuckle, it gets a laugh. But then when they open up their hand, it elevates the reaction when they see the hole is on the stem. And it's an impossible object. I kind of call that moment a sponge balls moment. And the reason I do is because, you know, the reason why so many magicians love sponge balls is because of that moment where a person's holding one thing in their hand and they open up their hand and there's two things, right? It's that sponge balls moment. Very few tricks have that sponge balls moment. Keymaster has that sponge balls moment when they open up their hand, and you've made a really big deal of it. You said, look, there's no key on this, there's no hole on this key, is there? You don't see a hole. They're just checking the head, because for their point of view, that's where a hole goes on a key, on the head. They're never going to check the stem. So they can feel the key as much as they want to. And that's one of the reasons we lowered the hole down on the Keymaster keys that have come out with Penguin, for that very reason. And you know, at the end of the routine, the hole's right there on the stem of the key. It's an impossible object. It's an absolute impossible object. And it's that sponge balls moment. They don't see it coming, and they open up their hand and the hole's on the key. It's a sponge balls moment. So hopefully that helps. You know, it's an incredible routine. It's something I'm very, very proud of. But understand the importance of directing audiences' attention, understand the importance of elevating reactions, and understand the importance of, you know, just kind of being aware of your environment and understanding that you can get away with more than you can possibly imagine.
Okay, I've mentioned this in a video about Magic Live. I did a couple of videos about Magic Live earlier on last week. I did a video about some of the best tricks that I saw at Magic Live. I did a video about the different things that I saw at Magic Live. But I need to give another shout out to somebody who I think is one of the most creative magicians on the planet and is rapidly becoming known as just a powerhouse in the magic community. And I am, of course, talking about Kyle Purnell. Now, I'm super proud that Kyle is part of the Netrix, and the stuff that he's put on the Netrix is just brilliant, like absolutely ridiculously good. However, he's releasing a whole bunch of stuff as well. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've seen 3 new products by Kyle Purnell. He brought out Rainbow Road, which is a really clever packet trick. And then at Magic Live, really, two of the best tricks that got launched at Magic Live were by Kyle Purnell, and they were both for different companies. One was Brainchild, which is coming out very soon by Penguin Magic. And Brainchild is a thought-of card appearing at a freely chosen number, and it's the only card in the deck that's got a different coloured back, and everything is examinable. Now, let me just repeat that. It is a freely chosen card appearing at a completely random number with a different coloured back, and everything's examinable. There's no rough and smooth or anything like that. It's just about as clean as you can get. It floored me when I saw it. Nick Lacoppa was performing it over and over again on the Penguin stand, and it is such an elegant solution to this plot. And yes, it is a random number. It is a different number every single time. It's based on personal decisions that they make that you couldn't possibly know. And yes, it is a freely chosen card. You just tell them to think of a card. It's a different outcome every single time. So if you're a table hopper, it's going to be a different outcome at the next table that you do it on. And it's about a 5-second reset, and everything's examinable. I think it's incredible. The other trick that I saw at Magic Live, was Big Picture. Now that was being launched there on the Vanishing Ink stand, and it's another amazing Kyle Purnell trick. Now this particular one is predicting a drawing. It's predicting a thing that they pick. It's very difficult to explain, but it looks absolutely amazing. And as with everything Kyle does, it's super commercial. I think that's the most important thing. And one of the reasons that I really like Kyle is Magic's creative. It's strong, it's visual, it's well thought out, but it's always commercial. He thinks about things like instant resets. He thinks about things like whether tables are required or not. He's not afraid to use sleight of hand. He's not afraid to use gimmicks. He basically achieves the end result using the best possible methods that are at his disposal. He's not a purist, but also he's not averse to using gimmicks. It's absolutely brilliant. And if you've not seen any of Kyle's downloads, you really should check them out, because the other thing that strikes me about Kyle is that he's got this incredible ability to take a trick, make it look like he's using a gimmick, whilst in reality there's no gimmick even being used. It looks like the only possible way it can be achieved is with a gimmick. But in reality, he's using sleight of hand and clever methods and routining to achieve something. Rainbow Road is a great example. Another great example is a routine that you put on the Netrix, and exclusive to the Netrix, which is a torn and restored card, where he has a card signed, torn, the corner gets torn off, you see the corner getting torn off, the card's left right down on the table, the corner vanishes, and it attaches itself to the card. There's no duplicates, there's no setup. That is a perfect example of the thinking that Kyle has behind his routines. So I wanted this little segment just to be a shout out to Kyle Purnell, a kind of a Kyle Purnell love fest. If you haven't checked out his work, you really should do so. And I've also been put into a very fortunate position where I've seen a release that's coming out soon. I don't know if Kyle's doing it himself, or I don't know if he's doing it through a company. The thing with Kyle is a little bit like me. He works with lots of different companies. He doesn't have like one affiliation to one company. He works with lots of different companies. But the trick that, and he's also released stuff himself. And he's got stuff on the Netrix, like he spreads himself really thin. But there's a trick that's coming out soon, which is incredible. And it's all based on light. And it floored me. I remember when I first saw it, it absolutely like blew my pants off. It's incredible. So make sure you keep checking Kyle's socials for that. If you haven't followed him on Instagram, please do so. He posts some incredible videos on Instagram. He's a wonderful guy. It's YA1 Creator of the Year, and this is just one big shout out to the legend that is Mr. Kyle Purnell. Thank you for being part of Metro. Okay, I want to give you a sneak peek of an upcoming interview that's coming up this Saturday on Talk Magic, on Magic TV. 9 o'clock on Saturday, GMT, or British Summertime, sorry. We have an interview with James Hessler. Now, if you don't know who James Hessler is, he's been a big part of the Magic community for a very, very long time. He's considered one of the top buskers in the world, and there's not much that this guy doesn't know about Magic. He's a very interesting character. The interview is fantastic. It's dropping on Saturday, and I wanted to give you a sneak peek. So here it is, a sneak peek of the interview with James Hessler, which is coming this Saturday on Magic TV.
Right. Oh, wow. I think the selection of your material is also is very important because it's either what fits you or something that you like to perform. Now, to answer your first question, I can answer that in one One word. Why are there so many street performers doing the cups and balls? Gazo. You know, and that's not being disrespectful of the man. I just in a bit deeper on that. I've always thought attending his masterclass and being taught by him and buying the stuff, the pouch. I had a set of cups from Gary Animal before, which I won on a website he launched years ago. Anyway, being taught by him and spending that 2 days in the masterclass and hanging out, that was the best ever, 300, 400 quid or whatever that I'd spent on magic ever. That was the best piece of money that I ever spent. Yeah, I bought all the props and stuff, but out of all the things that I've bought in my whole entire magical career, that's the best thing I've ever bought. Why? Because it put me on a path to get to, you know, this path that I'm on, which is great, which is now leading to other places. But why people also use the cups is because I think it's modular. There's several bits in it. You can either, if you're thinking on your feet and you're trying to build a bigger audience, you slow things down. You can actually put other bits in. You can change things around. So it being modular, it helps you. You've got to be on the ball. Unlike when you're doing a corporate gig, you're there, the audience is there, bing bang bosh, you do your material, you do your show, and bang, you get in, you walk away. But when on the street, it's sometimes a movable feast. You've got to try and slow down if the audience isn't big enough, or if you're trying to squeeze this energy, which we'll come on to. It helps in the doing of that. If you've got a one trick, sorry, I hate the word trick, but if you've got a one trick pony, like for example, I don't know, a straight jacket, that's a different element altogether. But that's just one thing. You get in a straight jacket, you get out. But with the cups and balls, as you can appreciate, it's modular. Boom, 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 boom. And that's why I think the cups and balls, maybe people watching might think otherwise and leave a comment. But as to the second question, geez. Yes, it is a matter of, this is what I'm going to do next, but first you're going to watch this. Yeah, that's the bare-faced version of it. But ultimately, but really it's quite a gentle glide up to that. I always liken it to something I've heard, and it's this. Somebody said to me, that unicyclist could get up on that unicycle and juggle those 3 clubs in 5 minutes. Yes, he could, but nobody would bloody care. There wouldn't be anybody there to watch. So that's why you have this thing. And I also look at it as like a pumpkin seed. As you're pressing, imagine if you've got a pumpkin seed in your finger, right? Between your finger and thumb, you're pressing, you press, and all of a sudden, you're giving energy to something, and then that energy explodes, and the explosion of that energy is the melon reaching the melon on the table. So that's why people do that particular. That's why I do that particular routine. But my set is flip stick to try and grab an audience, general conversation, coins through the table with various bits and bobs on it. Card trick just to lock them in, like a card in hat, card in mouth, and then the ubiquitous balloon swallow. Everybody does that, but you can get 5 minutes out of that, which is pretty cool. And then it goes into the cups. But I'm the only one that does this. I'm the only one that does the cups and balls. I'm pretty proud of this. Nobody else does the cups and balls, the opening sequence like I do it. Yes, we all use Di Brennan's routine, similar, which is put out by Gaza with all the blah, blah, blah. But the opening sequence is something that nobody else does. And I don't think anybody would, because I think I'm known for doing it. It's the opening sequence where the balls disappear and reappear is done to the song, Your Song by Elton John.
Wow.
Yeah, I can sing a bit of it for you if you want. But no, and it just fits perfectly. There was in Adelaide at the Adelaide Fringe Festival, in one of the biggest pitches in South Australia. We no longer there, unfortunately. And I've just been watching the Moulin Rouge with Ewan McGregor, Nicole Kidman, and a host of others. Not watching it with them, watching them on the screen. And it just came to me. Just, you know how it is, things just come to you. And I just looked at what I was doing with the cups and then thought of the song, and it just fit. It just meshed perfectly, because I just swallowed a balloon. So the line is, if it's a little bit funny, this feeling inside, well, it would be, I've just swallowed 3 feet of cold hard rubber. I'm not one of those who can easily hide, make the ball disappear. I know it's not much, the best I can do. That was number 2. And this is my gift, and The words just really follow through with the actions, and it's really quite a moment. And you get that energy coming up, and then all of a sudden, you produce the melody.
Okay, so I'm going to do a deck review now. I haven't done one on the channel for a few weeks, sorry. So I'm going to do a deck review of the glider back playing cards. Now, you've got to be careful. There's two versions of this. You've got the glider back playing cards, and then you've got the glider back playing cards, gilded edition. And the gilded edition is limited. There's only 250 that have been printed. You'll have a sticker on here telling you what number yours is. Mine is 12 of 250. The gilded version is $20, while the regular version is $10. And it's a new version of the glider back cards that Penguin brought out last year. These are by P3, by Penguin Magic. And they've got an ultra luxe finish and aquaflow coating. Ultra luxe finish, aquaflow coating. Now, I'm going to talk about this again in a second, but one of the interesting things about this deck of cards, first of all, I like the colour. I like the colour. It's a very different blue to anything that I've seen with a pack of cards before. It's a really nice colour blue. And when you see the gilded edges, they look really nice, kind of almost like a metallic sheen. But what I really like about these is it's a very interesting marking system. And I'm going to talk about that more in a second. I'll bring the camera closer so you can have a really good look at these. But there's marks built into this, and I defy any magician to find the marks. You could literally have this deck of cards placed into your hand. You could go through them with a fine-tooth comb and you would not be able to find anything. It's a really nice deck of cards. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera closer and I'm going to give you a close-up look at the cards. I'm going to give you a close-up look at the edges. I'm going to give you a close-up look of everything. But please remember, I'm using the sort of the gilded edge cards here. This is the $20 pack. So the edges almost have a metallic sheen to them. When you get the normal $10 version, it's exactly the same. The marking system's exactly the same. The box is exactly the same, but they're not going to be limited edition. They're not going to be gilded. So with that in mind, let's get the camera closer. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a really close-up look at these cards, because frankly, I think they're awesome. Right, so let's have a look at the glider back playing cards. So as you can see, this is a limited edition. This is number 12 of 250. This is because this is the gilded pack. And first of all, have a look at the edges of those. I've seen gold gilding on playing cards before, but never blue. It's probably around, but I haven't seen it. These things are just incredible. When you bring a deck of cards out like this in front of a layperson and you use them, they instantly just go, oh my gosh, they're fancy. Now, you could argue that, people will think they're special cards or whatever, but, I really like them, I really do. So the backs of the cards, as I say, well, first of all, you've got a double backer in there. Cool beans. Then you've got a blank card. This, and the jokers, by the way, I should show you the jokers. The jokers are pretty cool as well, as you can see. Really nice jokers. And then you've got the actual cards. Now, they handle really well. Like, they handle beautifully. I've always found that with the gilded cards, I tend to have a bit of a problem farrowing. But these, as you can see, farrow really well. Okay, which is great, because I've found that a lot of gilded cards don't farrow really well. They feel really good. You can do any slides that you want to do with ease. And as I said, there's a marking system with these cards. And when I was told about the marking system, I was with Eric Tate and Nick LaCopper and Sean Dunn in a airport in Columbus, and they showed me the cards and they said, find the marking system. And I just couldn't find the marking system. It's unlike any marking system I've seen before. Now, the downside to this marking system is they're not as easy to read as something like a Night Flight deck by Steve Della, which is an incredibly easy mark deck to read. These aren't as easy to read, but you could hand these to a magician and ask them to look for the marks, and they won't be able to find them. It doesn't look like there's marks there at all, but there is, but they're almost impossible to see. So yeah, they handle really well, they look really well. As you can see, the cards are designed really nicely with the symbols. I'll show you the court cards. They're very simple. There's that whole glider influence going on across all of the court cards, which is quite nice.
But yeah, it's just a really nice pack of cards that handles really well. If you're looking for something that kind of appears like a luxury pack of cards for your spectators, this is probably what you want to go with. So there you go, guys. That is another 5x5 in the bag. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. You know the score by now. You want to see more videos like this? You're just going to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. That would really help. And also, please don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, then all you have to do is go to www.thenetrix.com. We are really building ground there. We're growing every single week, and we'd love you to be a part of it. You can go and check out that and see what all the fuss is about. And I'll be back again tomorrow with a whole bunch of videos. So thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. My name's Craig from Magic TV.